can't do it.
I want to talk about the guy being deported. You should have a bunch of that stuff. The guy is Kilmar Abrigo Garcia. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Ask Mathis. I'm your host, Reginald Mathis, and rocking with me is my brother, Wild Man Teddy T, a.k.a. Baron Theo Mound-builder.
Yes, we are back for another great episode.
Okay, so I guess you feeling the new movie.
Which one?
By Ryan Gosling, the Sinners. Because you sounding like Count Chocula. Count Chocula over there. And I see you got your hair slicked back.
Yeah.
So you must be on that right now.
Yeah.
That's what you on. And I see you got it, you know.
Summertime.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, man. So you want to talk about just some effery. I like that word.
Mm-hmm.
Some effery that's going on right now, man. This guy, Kilmar Abrigo Garcia. So he gets deported to El Salvador. And if you don't know, man, El Salvador got like one of the toughest prisons in the world. Like soon as you land, they like blindfold you. They make you walk with your head down. Then they shave your head and throw you in like basically they just throw you away, bro. Imagine like anybody from here, like anybody. I'm talking about somebody probably from death row being sent over there, man. And you talk about, you know, the amendments, man. Cruel and unusual punishment. It's just horrible to see this going on right now. We spoke last week about the stylist. The stylist. They done sit the stylist over there, bruh. The stylist over there talking about he a gang member. And we have, you know, folks in our administration right now, bruh, that's loving it. And so the president of El Salvador, President Nayib Bukele, you know, he came straight like a drug lord from Scarface. You know, tell me, you know what I mean? Now, wasn't they just talking about Zelensky? When Zelensky came from Ukraine, the man in the middle of a war. And they sitting there talking about, just the way you come dressed to the White House. The man like, yo, my people getting murked. They get murdered and whatnot over there. Ain't nobody saying nothing about old boy. Why? Because he's suave. He's suave. Because he got
that GQ, you know, Trump don't mind sitting by him. He's cute.
Is that what it is? Yeah, he's sitting up in there, man. What you talking about? Like, this our money. This is the other dude is like, yo, man, my folks is dying. Like, I don't even have a country left. Everybody dying, and you want me to come in a suit? They're like, yeah, show some respect. show some respect. He like, man, y'all tripping. So I'm waiting on somebody to say something about old boy who looks like straight out of Hollywood casting, you know, to come in there and play like some international drug lord. But no, he is the president of El Salvador. And it sounds like Trump likes him a lot, you know. And the crazy thing is they all rehearsed their parts. They all rehearsed their parts yesterday. So the United States Supreme Court, 9-0, said y'all got to bring the man back. Right? 9-0. The administration admitted in court that he was wrongfully deported. They sent him, you know, it was an error. Say like, okay, bring him back. Well, it's not so easy. Hey, what you mean it's not so easy? And they all the people that make the decisions are in the room. Because the president of El Salvador, he right there. And so there's like, well, the Supreme Court said y'all got to bring him back. It's like, well, no, that's not what they said. They said we had to facilitate. And this is what Pam Bondi, remember our former Attorney General, now she is the U.S. Attorney General. So the country got to deal with her. Florida been dealing with her. Now the whole country got to deal with her. And you see how she like, yeah, facilitate. Yeah, we'll provide a plane. We'll provide a plane. But other than that, what you talking about? What you talking about? And then Stephen Miller, this buster, Stephen Miller, who the real guy behind it, he the real mastermind behind the whole thing. Stephen Miller, he come out of his cave, crawls out the cave, and he started talking about, well, that's not the way I read the opinion. Where I read the opinion was that, this guy's never gonna have a life in the United States. Talking about he was under a lawful deportation order back in 2019. They failed to mention that it got reversed, and he was given a reprieve to return, not to go back to El Salvador because the court found that it was a very credible threat that there would be gang violence against him if he was to come back down, because the reason why is that they owned a business, his family owned a business back in El Salvador that, start coming under, gang threat, and they promised to do gang violence against the family. He been here since he was 15 years old, right? So they then say, well, it's foreign affairs, and this is where Marco Rubio comes in. Marco Rubio says, hey, no court can get involved in foreign affairs. Like, this has nothing to do with the courts. And now this is international. He's gone. So they have no jurisdiction. Now it's between, their president and our president. So now their president chimes in. It's like, oh, what do you want me to do? Release a terrorist? I'm not going to release a terrorist. And so all our people sitting there saying, there you go. And now the man just sitting there scarred. Now, before I break this down just a little bit more, folks have been, deportation orders have been reversed. Tens of thousands of them. Like, it's not something that's unusual. Right. It happens. People are wrongfully deported and are brought back. So to pretend like we don't know where's the beef, like, that's BS. That's BS, man. We just got these folks, man.
Is there something underlying that this guy's involved with that they don't want to talk about?
No, they just want to do what they want to do. Bruh, they want to do what they want to do. They are dismantling all of the pillars of the United States system that we know. That's what my man voted for. Except you on cue. That's what he said. You see him? He like, I haven't heard nothing yet. He like, I ain't heard nothing yet. You ain't, man, what y'all waiting on me for? I ain't heard nothing. That's what I voted for. I voted for all of them to be gone. I'm sure you're going to have, a few hiccups, but hey, collateral damage. It's called collateral damage. It is what it is. All right, so I give you that. But now let's move over to Harvard. And they saying, okay, these $2 billion, Harvard, we need y'all being anti-Semitic. Now, how many Jewish people are at Harvard? That's right. Lots of them, buddy.
80%.
Lots of them, buddy.
80%.
Lots of them, buddy. But he's like, hey, until you guys stop being anti-Semitic, at Harvard. Now, what is he calling anti-Semitic? People criticizing the war in Gaza. I mean, come on, man. That's what kids do. Right. So if this was the early 1980s, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the foreign black students will be up out of here. Because what was we all, it was apartheid. Everything was about apartheid. It's like, until you have divested, that is the opening scene of the movie School Days. The opening scene at Mission College is they out there having a rally trying to get Mission College to divest from South Africa. Take the money. Remember that whole thing, I ain't gonna play Sun City. They came up with a whole song. All the artists came out there. I ain't gonna play Sun City. Sun City was a place like Vegas in South Africa that would bring all the big artists from around the world. And they all saying, we're not gonna play Sun City anymore as long as y'all have apartheid. If this was then, if that was now, them folks would be deported. They all be up out of here, man. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about taking away rights from students, where when you're on a college campus, that's where you're supposed to, exactly, that's where you, but think about it. They're removing all these student visas because these folks are guests. They're guests in our country. So they're in here to study, right? Take all the brain power, all the knowledge, and take it back to their countries.
Listen, I tell everybody this, and y'all don't understand this. The first slaves brought to America back in the days, the ones that they really was Indian and Asiatic people, the Mongolians. And they let them go to school for free in America. And that's why India and China is ahead in technology right now. Those were the first people that they gave reparations to by letting their kids go to college here for free. And then they went back, and that's why India and China are leading in technology right now.
I disagree, but I take your point. Step, does that, the education, the campuses, does that bother you? Does that concern you at all? No?
Yeah.
No, a little bit. Okay, all right. Okay, a little bit. He got a heart. He got a heart. I got an ice box where my heart used to be.
It's a white college to me, so I can't cry too much about it.
But that's the first. But that's bruh. You're going at the most successful, richest, longest living college in America, where a lot of the cures, a lot of the brain power, is coming from. A lot, from those campuses, But they got a $50 billion endowment, so $2 billion is not gonna hurt them. Right, so when you dig deep into it, Harvard gonna be all right.
Oh, they definitely gonna
Harvard's gonna be all right. But when they start with Harvard,
HBCU,
but that's all. It's already in the works. Cause once they do it to them, it's gonna just continue to trickle down. Like right now, you have.
That's fair. If they do it to white people first, but then they eventually get to us, I'd rather take that than the other way around.
The eventual was now because all of these colleges were given a certain amount of time to go in there and basically scrape all their curriculum for DEI, for anything. They don't want any of that. So they picking on Harvard because of Gaza, but right now everybody is in danger. Everybody's in danger right now. Public schools are in danger. Colleges are in danger. People are in danger. And, the pillars, you're attacking the media. You're attacking free speech. You're attacking, all the pillars that make the United States. And then at the end of the day, bro, you know what this man said yesterday about Ukraine? The man said yesterday about Ukraine, you pick a fight with somebody 20 times stronger than you. You pick a fight for somebody 20 times stronger than you, and you asking us for missiles. You asking us for missiles. So he basically shut the people down. Basically, like he hitting them like your boy from Rocky 3. Then he dies. Because you laughing, man. If he dies, he dies. He dies.
So I wait to hear things on the news, and today I heard that he told the FCC to get rid of CBS
Yeah, bruh, all of them. When the lady asked the question, yesterday, and today he asked for the IRS to go after Adam Kilsinger, the former Republican, with Liz Cheney. You know, the two Republicans that voted to impeach him. Like this dude's so petty.
And then what about because they called me this morning about the 420, the martial law. 420 martial law from the Insurrection Act that's supposed to happen on Easter on Sunday. He's supposed to do martial law on Sunday.
Man, I don't know. We need some poetry right now. Guess what? We got Sarah Peterson up in the house right now. She gonna hit us with some spoken word. What you got? What?
No poetry.
No poetry. Nothing. Hit us with some Gil Scott Heron. You know something. Welcome to Ask Mathis.
Oh, thank you.
We wanted you what, about a month and a half, 2 months ago? I see you let some of that smoke. Fall down. You want to shoot that back up, or you want to keep it down?
I'm here.
I'm here. I love it.
Here.
I love it. It's up. I love it. So now that we have Miss Peterson in the house, y'all know I got to hit you with some exit 36 type stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I see a video. Right, I see a video on former Commissioner Ed Phillips' Facebook, and I'm getting tagged. I'm like, well, I'm getting tagged. So I come on there, I say, oh, okay, Sarah. I just was with Sarah. You know, Miss Price, we around here politicking. You know, let me know what's going on or whatever. And I'm like, bam. It's right, it's right here. And there seems to be a confrontation between you and Commissioner Perkins. What? Speak for you.
I would say a conversation, not a confrontation.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, it was a conversation.
Yeah, it was not physical. Like, it was not, spitting in each other's faces, pointing fingers in the face. I thought it was heated, but I didn't think it was disrespectful, as some people, in the comments were thinking. Some of the older people that I know, some of my what I call some of my big sisters in Pompano, they was DMing me. I'm like, what you know, Auntie, what you know about the DM? They DMing me, telling me, I don't know, don't have me back there, having to fight about my little brother. I said, man, you don't got to fight about me. I'm good. I'm like, why y'all talking that? They didn't drag me in it. I'm like, okay, I'm just listening. I love my city. That's, who built me, who raised me. So, I'm concerned about what's going on. Then there's a comment that shows a video of another commissioner, a white female commissioner, who seems to be like, I got all the receipts. And it's like, oh, I'm going to expose Sarika and others that y'all getting a check from the city of Pompano, as if, that y'all getting a check, that what you're saying doesn't mean as much because you're getting paid to say what you're saying. I certainly didn't take it that way, but it seems like she threw that in the mix. So all those things have transpired. So you're here, welcome. So let's hear from you.
Yeah. So let's go to the commissioner who posted the video, and she called out 3 black women's names, myself, Jocelyn Jackson, and Sharon Stone Walker, and she had a lot of misinformation in it. However, she wanted it to be publicly known about the contracts, and it wasn't a secret. What it was very strategic to make sure the messaging was appropriate for what I was doing. I have a company called Lotus Mindset. We're a consulting firm. Our goal in what we're doing is to educate communities who go through redevelopment how to position themselves to be benefactors and not the ones who are perceived to be being pushed out of the community. We understand development from the inside out. So we have a contract with the city of Pompano, and that contract, as a sole source contract, is utilizing a platform that we created called the Wheel of Economic Opportunity. And what that was created 7 years ago, actually, and I took it to the then Commissioner Perkins to say, hey, this is something that I've been working on. I would like to do this in my community and help. At that time, it was discarded. She actually told me she didn't want me to do it. So, me, I don't stop when someone tells me no for something. I kept moving along. I enhanced it, started working with some other people. So that Wheel of Economic Opportunity is a platform that the city of Pompano Beach adopted, and we are using to engage the community of how to participate in the downtown development. It is a sole source contract, meaning you can't go to anybody else to get this because it came from us and we're the creators of it. So when she put it out there, it made it like Serica is receiving all of this money. There's 4 women who work with Lotus Mindset as part of this contract. So Serica isn't receiving all of this money. There's 4 women working on behalf of this contract to make sure we engage with the community. We are the Northwest Outreach and Engagement Liaison for the downtown project. So we have people working in many areas, from economics to the marketing to ground outreach street team. We're doing a lot to engage with the community. That was her mistake for me, but I think it was very intentional because she showed up the next day at the parade, the Black History Parade.
So that post was actually before that confrontation?
Yes, it was the day before, actually.
Okay.
It was the day before the parade.
And so was she next to Perkins?
No.
So that she wasn't even there. That was someone else.
No, actually, I was standing. She was standing talking to, at the time, Whitney Rawls. So I approached her to talk to her about what she did, and it was a conversation I was having between her.
You and Perkins, or the other commissioner?
Me and the other commissioner.
Okay, so she was at the...
she was at the parade.
At the parade.
So, she was there, and I approached her to have the conversation about what she said and how the misinformation and how it put me in a position in a community that she wouldn't show up in without a police escort and put a target on my back about money I don't have. So it was a conversation. She was listening up until the point the commissioner walked up and grabbed her and told her she didn't have to stand here and listen to this with another word behind it. I won't say that. So that confrontation, conversation came because the commissioner then inserted herself and pulled away the commissioner I was speaking to about making a social media post and basically doxing me on social media. And at that point, I confronted her because, I'm from Pompano. I'm from Exit 36 too.
Thank you.
So, I'm going to, if you say something to me about social media, I'm not going to take it to social media. But when I see you, let's have a conversation. And I was having a conversation. And as an elder, as a Black woman, I expected you to allow me to continue to have that conversation the way I was having. But don't interrupt it because that's your colleague, because she has to be held accountable just like you do. You're elected officials. You're in the community.
Right, as if she can't handle herself, as if she needed this. Like,
she
let
didn't.
me go ahead and because I can get in here. I know her language. Let me get in and I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Like,
but
need to be saved.
Yeah, I think it came across to everyone as if I just went up to the commissioner, and I didn't.
Right.
I didn't just go up to her, and I didn't even know about the video.
And the way, kind of the way the video was housed on former Commissioner Phillips' page, was kind of suspect. the way it was housed.
Yeah,
And, you know, he just looked like he was happy that he was getting so much engagement.
Of course.
I don't think he ever had that much engagement.
Of course.
Ever. And, you know, as people were saying, like, yo, we don't want people, you know, our business putting it out there like that. Don't do that or whatever. He was just like 1,000 views.
Yeah. He was tracking the views. He was tracking the views. And then I was completely like, I wasn't surprised. I didn't know about the video at first. And when I found out about the video, at that point, what can I do? You know, there's nothing I can do about it. However, I wasn't going to glorify it. I never shared it. I didn't comment on it. I didn't repost it or anything because I don't need that kind of attention to enhance what I'm doing. I have a platform outside of that video. I didn't need that video to do anything for me. You can see me being just as vocal about former Commissioner Ed Phillips when he was speaking against police brutality on the City of Pompano Beach Commission. You can see me leading a march to people to go down there, and he never sat in that seat again. So when he posted it, yeah, I saw it politically that you were just posting it because, hey, it's commissioner that beat you, whatever. And, you know, I get it. But for me, it did nothing for what we need to be talking about, and that is this downtown project and how we are going to benefit from it on an economic level.
Now, I saw another video that was just posted last week, maybe over the weekend, but recently, by another commissioner. I'm not sure; it may have been the same one.
Mm-hmm. They post a lot of videos, so
okay. Well, so I happened to see this video, and this was a video. Matter of fact, it was your man that we had on the show, the breaking news reporter.
Okay.
Breaking news reporter, who was with either one of the commissioners and asking about downtown, and he's like, "I'm here with you at City Hall." And looking at City Hall, and it's like this, you know, it looks pretty nice, you know, pretty new and whatnot. And she's like, yeah, you know, definitely need a couple things in there, but to just move it across the street, you know, it's $12 million just to move it across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Is what, you know, is kind of what she was saying, and kind of, you know, just trying to, it seems like trying to push the narrative of, you know, let's not waste money on building something that we don't need. And I know the City Hall is part of this downtown development that you're advocating for. Tell us about City Hall and how it relates to downtown.
So City Hall is the anchor project for this development. So when they say anchor project, it's what is going to make investors bring money to the area. Up until this idea to move City Hall across the tracks, it's always been the plan. That has always been in the master plan to move City Hall. And City Hall doesn't just need a few things. Right now, City Hall wouldn't withstand a Category 3 hurricane. Right now, as it is, it's right now has way more people in it than it needs to be in there. So it does need to be a bigger facility, and I'm not against anybody coming up with a better idea. However, with it being the anchor project to say, hey, this project is valued at $2 billion over the next 10 years, and we need a project that is going to make people want to invest money, banks and bonds to issue money in this area, specifically the Northwest District Corridor, MLK Boulevard, to put that there. You need something that is going to solidify that investment. City Hall being over there is saying, yes, the city is making a significant move to invest and strategically put those dollars in that area. Not putting it there keeps the money flowing in another district when we need the focus to be on the Northwest District far as an investment right now.
Okay, Teddy?
I mean, you know, I'm just like listening because I like to hear about it, because it's just the fact that people need to be involved in the process, and I'm glad that Serica, coming from her background, is in this element and being able to get more people involved in it, because that's why we lose out by just being, you know, what I would call black, and not being involved. So, we need more people to be, in the community, because that's what can save people. Communities save people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Communities save people, and people got to understand that. If they put into the community, it can help sustain you, and that's one of the things that we want to get people to start to understand.
Not only that, Teddy, this project, this has been a master plan for 30 years. The CRA came into Pompano. Pat Larkins brought the CRA to Pompano in 1989. So in 1989, Pat Larkins said, hey, I want to utilize this piece of legislation and bring what is considered a credit card to the city to be able to fund and finance redevelopment in my community specifically. He then also rezoned it in order to include that area right over there where the old pharmacy used to be. Mm-hmm. So that area is right part of
by Saxon Ward,
right,
and Ward City.
Yes, right over there. That's considered Old Town, but it's still part of the Northwest CRA district. The Northwest CRA district is a little over 3,000 acres. It's probably the second largest CRA district in the nation. Okay, so with that many acres that is considered slum and blight, while we don't like that term, it is legislatively what they use to maneuver money. Okay, so if we're in an area where now you have a credit card, a financing tool to redevelop, we should be tapping into that. We didn't understand it as much as we should back then. I don't think so, because a lot of decisions that were made, be it for lack of knowledge or maybe just didn't see the vision overall, we could have made a better decision on some things. But here we are. I'm inheriting the decisions that people made before me.
So give us some example of some bad decisions that you feel were made.
So the county, Broward County in the city had a settlement. The city wanted to extend the CRA, and the county didn't want to do it with the city money, with the county money, being the hospital TIF money, the children's services money that would have probably brought in another about $200 million over the next 30 years if it would have extended. Instead, the community did not fight for that money. Instead, because we wanted to remove a person or a company, we allowed our emotions of not liking someone to force us to make that decision of, hey, we don't want this person here and we don't want to extend the CRA. So they didn't. The city didn't fight because the residents didn't want that fight, took the settlement of $10 million that went to residential slum and blight. Now, I want to ask you, gentlemen, how much do you think $10 million is going to go in a 3,000 acre Northwest CRA district? And it's only can clean up residential slum and blight.
It's not going to go far. I mean, we did the Holiday Lakes project. I think that was maybe around 2000, late 90s, early 2000. And that was just 8 acres. You talking about 3,000 acres?
Yeah.
That was just 8 acres, and we got $6 million from HUD, and we got $600,000 from the CRA at the time, and then we got county impact fees and different things, raised. That was just one. That's just 8 acres, and you talking 6.6. Well, total cost was $12 million. So that lets you know right there that $10 million is just one of those, and that was 20 years ago. So the money is,
We also had a program back in the days where they were doing microloans for small businesses. They were giving small businesses about $25,000 to start up or scale their businesses. And part of that program was, okay, we're going to give this money, but we're also going to be the debt recovery service that when people pay back their loans, that money comes back into the community. and very low interest loans. If you ask me how many people and how much money came back from that,
none.
So again, another
versus a loan.
another bad decision. Another money going down the drain.
That was horrible.
So, here we are now. Money just is going out. Money is going out, but nothing's coming in. So here we are with District 4, 5 districts in Pompano. District 4, while District 1 carries the load as far as the tax base that's coming in. They're on the beach. Palmer, probably number 2.
That's crazy. Now, that used to be, you talking about Carver's Home, Cayuse City.
Cayuse City, District 5.
So now Carver's Home is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so just Cayuse City, and it's sitting there with Palmer, and the representative for Cayuse City is a white lady.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has John Knox Village, right?
Right. Not just John Knox, Palmer too.
No, that's what I'm saying. You got
mm-hmm.
Cayuse City, Palmer, and John Knox Village.
Right.
So folks from Cayuse City, they don't really have representation.
Well, they did. And they actually saw their power if they come out and vote when Cindy Floyd won. Cindy Floyd beat the incumbent at that time, Barry Moss, who had been in the seat, I want to say, 6 years prior to that. So, and it was very much a shocker that she beat him. But she beat him because her children at that time and engaged the younger people to come out and vote. But then came back around. They didn't do a lot of voter engagement. And then a lot of those people who voted for her on the black side, they didn't vote that time for her. So, when you start seeing the whole Cayuse City plastered with Cindy Floyd, and then the next election, it's a mix.
Wow.
Then that doesn't fall completely on not having.
What preacher got paid? No, don't answer that.
Hey.
Don't answer that.
Okay, because we on a truth tour here.
Don't answer that. Don't answer that. You got to go back.
Yeah,
you got to go back.
I do. And they already done put a target on my back. So at this point, No, I mean, and I don't even think it goes there. Also, too, I think Palmer was sending a message to the former commissioner, too. I admire what they did when they were they weren't happy with their representative. So they voted for the other person, not caring what they was for or against. I need you to move so you can know where the power in this city really is. It doesn't rely with the commissioner.
Shout out to the folks from Cayuse City. And does that include acres and Puerto Rican projects, all that? That's all part of that.
That's all part of it. And
then ugly corner. That's crazy that they all represented by somebody who probably never even been there.
The ugly corner is District 4. So that's
so it is. So District 4.
District 4.
Okay,
so up into Power Line. When you go on the other side of Power Line, on the west side of Power Line, that's where you get District 5.
Esquire Lakes.
Yes.
So Esquire Lakes and Cayuse City.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 historic communities where the Conti is, North Broward. Jail, Turnpike.
Shouldn't it be some type of internal infrastructure where people are put in place through the community? Why are there so many outside people that come in and be in these communities? Is it because of ownership?
I can speak from me, from being considered like outside. Who grew up there.
You're not an outsider.
I'm an outsider because I haven't been, involved in the day-to-day as far as what's going on, and then we can go to somebody that's involved. She attends the commission meetings. She's out there. She knows the legislation and whatnot. But growing up, it was Pat Larkins.
Right.
Pat Larkins.
And Pat Larkins is a tall, light-skinned.
No. His brother, he passed away a while ago. No, so Pat Larkins, matter of fact, he's known, you know, in Broward in South Florida because of minority builders. Like he's the guy who started getting, you know, minority set-asides in contracts. Like, that was his thing. It was like, okay, y'all got this development, this construction coming, 10%, 15%, 12% needs to have, you know, and so you start looking at Kenny Davis, who came, boom, his business shot up based on that. You look at Dwight Stevenson, D. Stevenson Construction, shot up through that. You know, those were the folks. So when you look at, you know, just, you know, my coming up, you know, Pat Larkins was somebody who was definitely accessible. He stayed right over by the boys club. It was his house, you know, right there. But, you know, he be around. But as far as, you know, saying, hey, I'm tapping you guys to be the next generation, to be the next generation of leaders, not so much. You know, not so much. So when I say as an outsider, someone who came up through the system, there wasn't a whole lot of grooming. There wasn't a whole lot of grooming for whatever. And so now the folks who, you know, were doing it did it until they died. You know what I mean? And they didn't they didn't pass it on. They did it.
Succession plan.
They did it. They did it until they did it literally damn near till they was dead. Like till they was dead. And so by that time, the folks many of the people who had the abilities was out. They done left. They left the city. They went to college and stayed. They got married and followed their spouse wherever. And so the ones who came back, they came back with no connection. It was just like, hey, this is opportunity. I just apply for it. Like when I remember going back when we were bidding for the what's now Pinnacle Village, you know, and I'm back in there probably after 15 years, and I'm back in the city, and I'm at the commission meetings, and I'm seeing the things that's going on, and I'm seeing like attorneys that I knew from South Florida who had no connection to Pompano at all, bidding for contracts to get legal work from the city. And you can't be mad at them. I mean, you put it out there, and folks are going to come in there and get it. So the folks who were there who they would have loved to have given the work to, because that's what I found. Because when I actually was in there doing it, they bent over backwards. Like it was my first development project ever. I had no experience in that, but they knew my dad. They knew my parents. My dad had just died, you know, and he was like speaking in front of the commission, and I guess they were sympathetic or whatever. We put a nice team together, and we went in there and we beat the guy who was the original builder of Holiday Lakes, and he was in there again, and it was like, hold on. And this is when you bring a Pompano perspective to it. I'm like, man, hold on. Holiday Lakes, man, this spot is like the Cabrini Green. We don't need no 8 stories here. Like, we don't need that. Man, but you give somebody like 2-story where it's like that's their own crib. You go there now, it look almost the same that it did when it was built.
It's a nice development.
Because people was like, and that was what we was in there arguing. It's like, man, nobody, you just trying to get as many people in and just stack them up. You're not going to be able to maintain it. But the elevators and all that stuff is going to end up being a prison.
Affordable housing project? Yeah.
It's going to be a prison. So from my perspective, the people with the means, we kind of cleared it. Like, we kind of cleared it. A lot of us. It was a brain drain in Pompano. And that brain drain was filled, and I applaud you, you know, for being there and staying there, being in the trenches, you know, with all that's going on. And just like, you know, they come and be like, Matt, you from Pompano, right? Yup. And it's like, man, we got all this stuff going on. What up, man? I come over there and I get a little sense of it. I'm like, man, let me get on back.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, Mathis. That's why I had to go to. That's why I had to go to Miss Price, and I say, Miss Price, you know, she was like, well, what's going on with Reggie, with Mathis. I say, I need to talk to him too. And I say, let me call him and see if he answers. And you just so happened to answer when I called because she was saying she wanted to talk to you. You know, my thing is this, you know, I never met Pat Larkins. I never met him. And I've been asking this question to myself and to the community because there's a lot of controversy around whether they want to build a new Pat Larkins, which means they will have to tear down this one and relocate it. And the current commissioner, and some people from the community wanted to stay and just wanted to be renovated.
Else,
yeah. So, you know, whatever that is going to be. But I've been asking myself this: is Pat Larkins an idea or a building? And when I ask myself that, the only connection I have to Pat Larkins is the people who came under him, the proteges, the ones that learned from him. And when I see how they act, I then have to start to formulate
who those people are, so I can enlighten me.
Well, I mean, it's not just one. The former commissioners, since you've had
Phillips came under him.
Phillips came under him. Mr. Woody Portier came under him.
Okay.
And current commissioner Beverly Perkins came under him.
Right. And so, you know, you're talking about folks all post 60.
Right.
Post 60. And that's not really the political climate, you know, in terms of what's going on. Like post 60, you still, you know, we shall overcome it, and you still like doing it the certain way that you're doing it versus I mean, I know they probably got Pampers when they see you walking up the street, man, because Saka is so articulate, and she like come in and she hitting you like with, you know, with them verbal missiles. Listen, and them folks ain't with that. They don't want to hear, and folks from Pompano in particular, they ain't trying to hear all that, especially when it's coming. They ain't trying to hear all that. But
not hearing all that is why the commissioner has put out a list of what she asked this developer for. And 95% of what she asked for he said yes to. Mm-hmm. But then when you put it out to the public and some people who have some experience in development, in this type of development, go to look at it, was like, that's it? So now you have to backtrack because you didn't have those people part of your think tank to make sure you were asking for the weight of what this is. So now we continue to have these conversations of, okay, we don't want to hear it. In high school, I can remember the class clown got all of the attention. The teacher and everybody was paying attention to the class clown. Meanwhile, the people with the answer in the back of the class gets no. But then come graduation, they got a certificate of completion and no plan of what they're going to do after this. And we continue to make being smart the problem. How is me being articulate about the situation, having a solution, having a team of people who are smarter than me, advise me on how to move forward? How am I the problem and not the people who are sitting asking for crumbs when it's a whole table?
Yeah. We're gonna thank Ms. Peterson for coming, and we're gonna go into a few more stories and then get your breath, and then we're gonna let you, land the plane.
Okay.
We're gonna let you land the plane. Okay. So we got to talk about Austin Metcalf, one of the twins who was fatally stabbed at a track meet in Frisco. And it's causing a whole lot of controversy because, if you remember Kyle Rittenhauser, the guy who, during the Black Lives Matter, the white guy who traveled across state lines, 17 years old, with an assault weapon, killed 2 people, and got off, right? Got off. So in this particular case, it was 2 twins and guys, sitting in jail, no bond. sitting in jail. And, you know, folks was trying to say, oh, he's from a broken home and blah, blah. Nope, no, he's not. You know, both parents lived there, you know, where it was supposed to be. These guys, you know, they was bullying them. The twins were known as bullies, you know, in the school. And they hit Buddy first. They hit Buddy first. You know, so we talk about two Americas, but to his father's credit. Can you play this right here? You know, to his father's credit, you know, because no parent wants to bury a child.
Decide to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion for every human being. This is not, I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know. They weren't there. I know the truth. So unless you were there, unless you saw it, don't spread gossip.
Just to ask you this one question, like I had mentioned, the self-defense argument made by the suspect. What's your reaction to that if that's used in court or used?
You know, as a defense attorney, they're going to try every avenue. That's their job. The truth will come out. There were too many people that were there that saw what happened. My own son told me what happened. There was never a punch even thrown. So I don't care. There was never a phone broken. We've never had contact with this individual ever. So unless you were there, I don't appreciate all the gossip and all the mistruths that people are.
So, anybody want to move it? I mean, it's sad, unfortunate, Sarah. Go ahead.
I mean, he's a father, and he's an active, engaged father, and it sounds like he has a bit of a legal background, so he understands how.
Yeah, I appreciate him speaking like that and not throwing gas on the fire.
Right.
You got like a lot of people that's just ready to, you know. I watch the Western Channel.
Right.
You know, so I'm always like, go get the posse, round them up. You know, so I appreciate as a dad. Like I don't even know how I would be, you know, to get that call that my child is dead. You know, it's like whoa. That's crazy. Now this lady up here, go up one more. Yeah, right here, right. Yeah, right here, man.
Yes.
So this is the one right up. Yep, this is around Teddy's area, North Lauderdale. Which is.
And they got it right. They got him in the video.
Yeah, they got him in the video, man. This dude, you know, when I see stories like this, I always think about. You know, Lenny Williams, man, you ain't never been in love like I've been in love, and you ain't never felt like I
don't
felt.
want that kind of love.
Because, you know what I mean? And come in there and just like, yo, man, I can't wait to see her dead. As you just riding, as you just driving, and you just fantasizing about, you know, am I going to, man, to be sitting in there, bruh. When I have to go to the jail, man, like when I'm in trial, and I have to go like to the jail, like really in the jail, not like for a visit for 45 minutes to an hour. But when you're in trial, like you got to bring the evidence, and you got to bring your laptop, and you got to go through body cam, and you got to go through all that stuff. And so it's a minute, and they put you in a little classroom, man, like at DCJ, at pretrial. You know what I mean? And you hear like. You know what I mean? Like, you hear all this just throughout, and it's like, yo, it's rats. It's just rats everywhere. Like, rats just running around everywhere, man. And I'm in the classroom, and I know I'm getting up out of here in a little minute. And then it's like, you got to eat here. You got to do everything here. Man. And so, what... You know what I mean? Like, look at this buddy right here, man. Like, buddy, he looked happy. He looked like, man, he looked like he, like, yeah.
I'm seeing it more. I think because my timeline is full of more black women. I see this more frequently happening. Yeah, I see it more frequently happening, and it's a dangerous
murder, suicides, and all that. Man, it's like, what are y'all? Well, we was talking about last week that this prominent lawyer, judge, this man saves this lady's name, the district attorney of Fulton County. He saves her in his phone as Gorilla Grip. He saves her in his
lack
phone.
Of respect.
So the fact that this dude is like, my phone could get, subpoenaed, seized, confiscated. What is it going in? Gorilla Grip. That mean the women make you go crazy.
Nah.
They make you go.
Nah.
They make you go
Nah,
crazy.
y'all ain't finna do that. Nah, we not finna do that. That's
crazy.
not what we about to do.
They make you go crazy.
That's
man.
not. That's not.
She ain't gonna be with me. She ain't gonna be with nobody.
But see, that's the issue. Is possessional.
Property.
It's possessional, and it's not just men. Women, people who view people who they're in a relationship with as their property or possessional, they're very dangerous. Because if you mine, you can't leave me. I own you. And I don't want nobody who think
even if you they got you on the shelf.
Yeah, no.
Just don't want nobody else to play with you.
No, they're dangerous people. They would literally take your life, and we're seeing more and more of it happening because that's how people view relationships. That if you're with me, you're mine.
Yeah, this is the most we looking at the story. We was just talking about the one guy. He's sitting there in front of the cameraman. His ex done moved on, but they had children together, and she had children with the new guy. The new guy go from the laundromat, leave his laundry, and go in there and shoot her and kill everybody. And then one of the ex's children is surviving. She's sitting in coma, and Buddy just sitting like he was talking about the last conversation he had with her. And how she was like, man, I'm planning to leave this dude or whatever, man. So, man, the stuff with domestic violence is very, very real. Our young men in particular, and I know it happens, to a certain extent. I got a homie, man, who's I say his girl is a black belt, right? His girl is a black belt, and when I be talking to him, he be like, yo, I got to get home. I like, what? Yo, man. He be like, yo, man, I got to get home. I say, man, what you mean? He's like, yo, I got to get home. I said, bruh, it's okay. You can talk to me. It's okay. It's okay. Is she roughing you up? Is she like, bruh, is she roughing you up, man? Is she roughing you up? He's just like, man, I got to get home. I said, okay, you go ahead. But Buddy be out. But for the most part, I think the whole notion, as Serica said, as far as the possession, like we have to understand that relationships are voluntary. Relationships are voluntary, and it's okay if they are not working out. If you are not getting, what you need from the person, and vice versa, either go and get counseling where y'all can get on the same page, or just say, hey, let's start off with a break. Let's start off with some time apart, because I don't want to go to jail. You don't want to go to jail. Let's not do something that we're going to regret. But it's easier said than done, bro, because first time you sitting at the crib and you like looking at the time, you're like, hold on now. And now you can pick up the phone and check out the location. You know what I mean? And then, that blood just gets...
I don't think people exercise their options a lot. Like, I don't think people exercise their options. Everybody, man and woman, get dressed, go out and see just what you have.
I can't do it. I can't do it.